Hey guys, so here's a couple of questions that you can use to review for your test tomorrow. The test, don't forget, will cover percents, proportions, and percents of increase or decrease. Okay, so 21 pounds of bananas cost $252. How much would 30 pounds cost? We're going to use the units to help us set up our proportion again. So here we have pounds and pounds, and then we have a third number with money involved. So our proportions, when we build them, we can put pounds. If we put pounds on top, we have to put it on the numerator for both of the fractions. And then we'll put money on the bottom for both of the ratios as well. Okay, well, 21 pounds costs $252. And we want to know how much 30 pounds would cost, so that's our X. Okay, we cross multiply here. And we get 21x equals 30 times 252. Okay, so this is 21x equals 7,560. Now we'll divide both sides by 21. And we get x equals 360. And we always need to label our answers. And in this case, if we look back up top, we see that x was with money. So then, yes, this is x equals $360. Okay, the second one, a car can travel 261 miles on 29 gallons of gasoline. How far can it travel on 55 gallons? Okay, once again, we're going to take a look at our units. We have miles, we have gallons, and we have gallons. So when we set this proportion up, we'll be careful to make sure that we put our units down in the same spots. So if gallons are on top on the numerator, they'll be in the numerator for both of the ratios. And once again, if miles is in the denominator for one, it needs to be in the denominator for both of the ratios. Okay, well, 29 gallons relates to 261 miles. And we want to know how many miles we can go on 55 gallons. Okay, so once again, we cross multiply here. And we get 29x equals 261 times 55. And we get 29x equals 14,355. Now we'll divide both sides by 29. And we get x equals 495, and we look back up top and we see that our x was miles, so yes, this is 495 miles. Okay, there are 600 pupils in a school. The ratio of boys to girls in the school is 3 to 5. So let's take a look at our labels here. We have 600 pupils, which means, people, and then that's the total amount of people. So 600, we're going to say 600 is a total. And here we have boys, and there's 3 boys for every 5 girls. So we'll say 3 boys and 5 girls. Okay, now we're going to have a little trouble setting up a proportion here because we have three different labels, 3 different units. We have total number of people, we have boys, we have girls. So we have to be a little tricky about this one. If we look at this ratio right here of 3 to 5, that tells us in a group of 8 students, 3 of them will be boys and 5 of them will be girls. Well, if we use that information, we can build the proportion as such. We'll start with boys. Okay, this is the total. And this is boys. And this is the total. Okay, so we know that for every 3 boys, there are 5 girls, which means out of every 8 total, 3 will be boys. And we don't know how many boys there are in 600 total. Okay, setting up this proportion is the hardest part, because now we just cross multiply and we get 8x equals 3 times 600, and that means 8x equals 1800. Now we'll divide both sides by 8, and we get x equals 225. We look back up at the top and we see that our x was boys, so 225 boys. Okay, well, if there's 225 boys, we also need to see how many girls are. We'll just subtract 225 from 600 and get 375 girls. Now, if we want to check our answer to make sure we are right, we can go ahead and take 225 and divide it by 375. When you do that, you get 6/10. Now, if we also take the ratio of 3 to 5, and we do 3 divided by 5, we'll also get 6/10. So that's how we know we've kept the ratio intact. We've done everything correctly here. Okay? We're going to use the information we have about how many nickels there are to find out how many coins there are in total. Okay? We see that there are 3 nickels for every 5 pennies. That means in that ratio there's a total of 8. So out of all of those coins, out of 8 of them, every 3 will be a nickel. So we can say that 3 nickels for 8 total. Now we know there are 30 nickels, and we want to know how many there are in total. Cross multiply and you get 240 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals 80. So there are 80 coins in total. And once again, we can check to make sure our ratio is correct here. We'll say if there are 80 total and 30 were nickels, then 50 have to be pennies. And if we put pennies over nickels, this equals 5/3. And if we do the same thing with the original ratio we had in the problem, you can obviously see that that is 5/3, so we've kept the ratio true, and thus the proportion works correctly, that there were 80 total coins. Okay. The selling price of a home was dropped from $200,000 to $190,000. By what percent did the price drop? So this is a percent decrease question, and we need to put the decreased amount in our numerator and the original price in our denominator. Multiply this by 100 and we will get the percent that we have decreased, which is 5%. Okay, and you can also check this answer just to check your math is correct. Multiply 5/100 by 200,000 and you will get 10,000 as your answer, and 10,000 is the difference between 200,000 and 190,000. Okay, last one. The enrollment at a university increased from 14,000 students to 16,000 students over a period of 5 years. What is the percent increase in enrollment? Okay, first thing we need to do is identify that there is extra information in this problem we don't need. It does not matter how many years it took for the enrollment to increase. All we want to know is what was the percent increase over the total time. So once again, we will take the difference, which is 2,000, and divide it by the original amount, which is 14,000, multiply it by 100, and we will get about 14 and 285 thousandths. And if we want to round this to the nearest hundredth, we need to look at the hundredth place, and then we'll check next door to see what's going on there. Since that digit is higher than 5, we need to round up. So 14 and 285 thousandths rounds up to 14 and 29 hundredths. Okay, don't forget, guys, tomorrow is your test. You can review any of the other videos. They're all online. You've been shown ways to search different math websites to find other examples of these problems. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Thank you. Have a good night.